During the show yesterday, our colleague Ian Rappaport kind of sort of said the deal was done, but left himself some wiggle room, understandably. With this story, you have to. And then 24 hours later, it is still not done. Tom Pelissero and Ian had fun with it yesterday on The Insiders. You know Tom, obviously, from sitting in this chair quite frequently. Tom, what were you doing with Ian with the hands? And it looked like he was making a pizza. He said, so they're here and they're there and we're not here. Like, what the heck was going on there?
I think Ian is, after doing the Insiders for a couple of years here, I think he's beginning to explore the space,
Mm-hmm.
to use a theater term. He's starting to play to this side of the room and to this side of the room. And then I don't know what was going on with this entire thing, but I immediately said on the air, we need to GIF that. And our fantastic NFL Network social media team had that GIF for me within mere minutes. In terms of the Brandon Aiyuk story, Ian's tweet yesterday was really kind of summarizing where we've been for several days here. And this goes back to last Friday when Mike Garafolo and I reported that the 49ers had re-engaged and they were trying to work out a long-term deal. They had made an increased offer. Brandon Aiyuk at that point had not yet taken it. The Steelers were continuing to wait. Aiyuk then took to the Instagram comments because where else would this go to say, hey, there's only two options, stop dropping reports and make a decision, referring to the 49ers, not to me and Mike. But that's still where we are here. I mean, it certainly sounds like the 49ers are not far away from being able to get something done with Brandon Aiyuk. Mike said on the air yesterday, all things equal, Aiyuk wants to be in San Francisco. And that makes a lot of sense. You're playing for Kyle Shanahan. You're playing with Brock Purdy. It's a place that you know. He bought, I believe, a house there last year. He's got roots there. He'd like to be a 49er. But it took months of these kind of on and off negotiations, sporadic trade talks to get us to this point. What the 49ers accomplished by reopening those trade talks a couple of weeks ago was really not just them figuring out where could they send Brandon Aiyuk, but also allowing Aiyuk to see what type of market did he have, not just in terms of the contract, but where he wanted to go. So you had New England, you had Cleveland, those teams were involved. It became clear Aiyuk would only want to go to Pittsburgh if he's not back in San Francisco. The problem with that is the Steelers are not going to give up a wide receiver as part of this deal. So that changes kind of the calculation for the 49ers. It's really hard to trade for somebody else's number one or number two wide receiver right now. And so the full focus for the 49ers, it seems here for the past several days has been try to get this thing done with Aiyuk. And much like we've been, Andrew, for a week and a half now, could it happen before the end of this interview? Sure. Could it never happen? Sure. We have to await because you've got several different parties here. And the 49ers, to a certain degree now, the ball is in their court, so to speak.
And the compensation in return, to me, obviously, is such a huge part of this because I think we all agree without Brandon Aiyuk, they're not a better team. Right, they're a better team with Brandon Aiyuk, and obviously having Amari Cooper linked in those Browns stories, that made sense because you're getting back a very good player. Granted, an older one, but a very good player. Are the Niners demanding a legit wide receiver back in return if they were to agree to some kind of deal?
Well, that's what they were looking for a couple of weeks ago. And that's part of the reason that the Steelers were essentially out as of, let's call it the start of last week. They were not going to get a deal done. But then again, Brandon Aiyuk, with the control he has, is any trade is going to have to involve a contract with the new team. So once it became apparent he was not going to sign a contract with the Patriots, not going to sign a contract with the Browns, then it became a single team that, from the 49ers perspective, had the lowest offer in terms of the trade compensation. So that's where the 49ers, I can tell you, called a lot of different teams. If you're a GM, though, for any of those other teams, and you're going, all right, it's the second week of August, I'm going to trade you my number one or number two wide receiver right now and take that guy away from my coaches for maybe a draft pick in 2025 that doesn't help me right now. It's a hard proposition. Now, obviously, that could evolve as we get into the season. Let's get a month in and kind of see what teams aren't any good, who might be available at that point. That happens every year. But in terms of getting somebody now, there's really nobody for them to go out and get. And so that's where then the 49ers recalibrated here and said, okay, Brandon Aiyuk, we've always wanted him to be back here. Let's go beyond where we were willing to go before in terms of a contract extension. Nothing's done. Again, as of this second right now, Andrew, that could happen at any time. It doesn't sound like we're far apart here, but as we know, and to paraphrase Yoda, there is no close, there is only done.
Wow. do or do not, there is no try. Yeah.
Right. I'm using that and spinning that. See,
yeah, I get it.
I know you like Star Wars, so I figured
yeah.
I'd just take you on that.
That was very good, Tom. Found someone you have.
And as Brockman knows, I haven't really watched any of the Star Wars but those first 3 movies. So I'm going old school.
It's you and Dan Hanzus. I mean, the two guys that, he's angry with it, though. He takes shots at people. You just throw in the occasional Star Wars reference and go, I don't get it. Anyway, that said, also Tom Pelissero with the 49ers. There's Trent Williams who's not there. There's a Christian McCaffrey hamstring issue as well. So it's not as if this is the only thing hanging over their heads. There is a little bit going on there.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.